What's up guys, today we'll be going over the new raid exotic SMG, and first I want to give a shout out to Eyeside, who is a part of Team Redeem, but was playing with tier 1 who got 5th place in the raid yesterday, and he happened to get the SMG and let me get on his account, so thanks to him for letting me make this video real quick. So let's go ahead and break down the SMG. So looking at its exotic perk first, as you see right here, this weapon stores power when dealing or receiving damage. Once full, hold reload to unleash the beast. Then it also has extended barrel and AP rounds. Then the second perk on it, dealing continuous damage extends the duration of the exotic perk. Then it also has a stock on it and is 750 RPM with a 30 magazine. So what does this weapon do? As you do damage or take damage, you almost like charge up the weapon. As you see on the left side of the gun, there's an orange like stripe, and it will slowly fill up by doing damage or taking damage, as you'll see right here. And when you take damage in PvE, it actually fills up very quickly, as you see from this ogre. And now the left side of the gun is completely full, and you can see the perk on the left side of my screen. And now you just have to hold reload to proc the perk, and when that happens, you unleash the beast. As you see, it's just crazy. You do more damage, the rate of fire is quicker, the reload's quicker. The gun is just completely souped up in almost every way possible. So let's start breaking down what this perk actually does. So without the perk, I had 200 head and 136 body shots. Then testing the rate of fire, shooting off 30 shots without the perk. That's going to take 2.4 seconds exactly. Now testing the reload speed without the perk, and that takes 1.667 seconds. Now with the perk, do all the same stuff. Shooting the ogre, I hit 399 head and 396 body now, so almost the same body and headshot damage. Now testing the rate of fire with the perk, and now it's going to be much quicker at 1.917 seconds. And finally testing the reload speed with the perk, it's going to take 0.933 seconds. So breaking down everything we just tested, the damage goes up by 187% on body shots and 99% on head, probably 100% with rounding. And just like Recluse, it's almost the same body and headshot damage with the perk. Then the rate of fire gets increased by 20% with the perk active, which is definitely a nice boost, almost like Breakneck. Then finally, the reload speed gets increased by 44%, which is definitely really good. It's pretty much the same as having Feeding Frenzy procced. Now finally, the DPS numbers of this weapon at base is 2500, then with the perk it's 6244, so well over double the DPS with the perk procced. Now I want to talk about the second perk on this weapon, where dealing continuous damage extends the duration of exotic perk. So as you see, when I shoot at this ogre, it starts with 8 seconds, but as I do damage, it's going to reset the timer, and it actually lasts closer to around 11 seconds. And as you see later in the video, as long as there's enough ads, you can actually make it last pretty long. Then on top of that, you can use things like Lunafaction, Rally Barricade, or wherever you need to get around having to reload, so that way you can take full advantage of the 8+ seconds of the perk without having to reload ever, which makes it a lot better. Now, a few things I noticed about this perk is that if you swap weapons, you lose the perk, and not only the perk, all progress towards the perk. As you see, it's not fully charged. I swap and I lose it all. Then, as you'd imagine, if you have progress on it and you die and respawn, you obviously lose it also. So you gotta make sure not to swap or die, obviously, to get the perk procced in PvE and PvP. And talking about PvP, let's go ahead and look at the numbers in there. It hits 20 headshots and 14 body shots at base, and that results in a time to kill of 0.833 seconds. And as you saw, one kill charges it like 60%, so if you get 2 kills worth of damage, you will have the perk fully charged. And now that you have the perk fully charged, you hit 30 headshots and also 30 body shots, so the same amount of damage for both head and body in PvP, and that results in a 0.483 time to kill. Then it also can go straight through roaming supers and things like that, as you would imagine, so it's pretty good versus supers. Then just like in PvE, when you take damage, it also charges the perk up, so if you get 1 kill worth of damage plus take some damage, or get 2 kills worth of damage, you will have the perk pretty easily in PvP. You definitely get it quicker than PvE, but you cannot swap weapons. So overall, the weapon is definitely very unique and definitely very good. You can use the weapon in PvE for ad clear very aggressively, as you'll see in some of these clips where I can make it last for like 20+ seconds. And it seems that the timer only goes up to 3 seconds, so once it dips below 3 seconds, as long as you're getting kills and dealing damage, it will go back up to 3 seconds over and over again. So as long as you start shooting something before the perk runs out, you should be good to keep it back up to 3 seconds. So you can make the perk last pretty long for ad clear. Then also for single target damage, it's pretty good because you pretty much have pocket like burst damage. You can proc the perk whenever you want, unlike things like Recluse or Breakneck or something like that. You can determine when you want the increased damage and rate of fire, so you can save it for, you know, an ogre spawning or something like that. And for that reason, I can see it being pretty good in the raid for all like the knights, the ogres, and things like that. And that's what this weapon was made for the raid. So I can definitely see it being really good in there. In PvP, I played one game, and you'll see highlights eventually in this video of that one game. And it definitely has a learning curve of when to proc the perk and whatnot. And like I said, I only played one game, so I don't have like the greatest highlights. Once I get it on my account and I can play longer with it, I'll probably put out a PvP montage with it, probably pairing it with Devour like I did Recluse. And I can see it being pretty good, but once again, you can't swap weapons and things like that. So it's not like over the top broken, but it's definitely pretty strong. My only issue with this gun is the fact that Recluse is in the game. Recluse and this weapon pretty much achieve the same thing. You have quicker reload, you have more damage. The only thing this SMG has over Recluse is the fact that it has increased rate of fire. But for ad clear and stuff like that in PvE, which is pretty much the point of the SMG, the Recluse has way more uptime on its perk pretty much forever. And you can also proc it with other weapons, unlike this one where you cannot even swap to different weapons to keep the perk. So long term, I find it hard to justify using this weapon over Recluse in PvE because it's exotic. So you have to give up 1k or Whisper or Thunderlord or whatever. And I wouldn't even say it's better than Recluse for ad clear. I can definitely see it being better for single target damage because you can control when you proc the perk. But overall, like I said, Recluse and this weapon are pretty similar in a lot of ways, and one's exotic and one is not. So what do I propose to make this weapon actually more usable? So there's a few things I would like to see changed to make this weapon actually worth the exotic slot in PvE. Number one, when you swap weapons in PvE, you should not lose progress on the perk or the perk itself, and that will help with a lot of issues with it, and that changes a lot of things. Number one, when the weapon is stored, taking damage would also charge the perk, so you could, run around with a shotgun or whatever, then take some damage. The next thing you know, the perk is ready for you, so you can then swap over to the SMG, proc the perk, and you're good to go. Then also, while charging the perk or using the perk itself, let's say for whatever reason you need to pull out a different weapon, you shouldn't be punished for doing that in PvE. I understand it needs to stay that way for PvP, where you can't swap or anything like that for balance purposes, but in PvE, if you want this gun to seriously compete with Recluse and be worth the exotic slot, those changes have to be made. So overall, like I said, the weapon is amazing, definitely well made, really unique. But like I've said about other exotics before, obviously this weapon will be used a lot in the next few weeks when people will start getting it for the first time. Obviously people will need to use the new exotic, but I'm saying long term, I don't see a use for this over Recluse. That's all I'm saying. Anyways, thanks for watching. Catch you guys next time.
Taken here. Team? That's fine. We're only inside of a giant planet-transforming pyramid with interdimensional
Spectres had not left us. She would have theories about what the Taken want with the bags.
think they're trying to contain the Red Legion.
They have bigger problems. They need